Hello, I am Professor Hartman, and this is my YouTube channel. We are going to talk about all sorts of topics related to video games. Game design, game development, game theory, and then from there we will eventually branch out into technology and business and entrepreneurism and eventually other things that video games touch, culture, society, and maybe even politics. We'll see where we go. So this is the very first video in this channel. I received a lot of good advice that said if you want to start a YouTube channel, just sit down and make your first 100 crappy videos and then start worrying about quality after that. So here is crappy video number 1. Hopefully though it is at least somewhat useful and you won't feel like you wasted your time. So I feel like we need to start defining some terms. So these early videos I'm going to do a lot of basic explanation about terms and terminology and things in video games that are good to discuss. And right off the bat, what's a game? It's a harder question than you might think. In fact, right now, why don't you think about what is a game? What are the core components that make things as incredibly difficult or different as chess and Minecraft to somehow be in the same category? You know, all these logos here are different types of games: video games, card games, board games, pen and paper games, and yet they're all games. So what makes them a game? Is it the fact that they have rules? Is it the fact that they're designed to be fun? Is it the fact that they have players? What is it exactly? So let's look at a couple definitions. We'll start with something really, really simple. A form of play which has rules and a goal. Really good, simple definition. I mean, that kind of nails it, doesn't it? But then there are things that operate by rules and have a goal and, you know, aren't really games. Getting ready for work in the morning, making your coffee, making your breakfast, that has rules. You have a goal. I guess it's not really a form of play per se. And so that's kind of what makes it not a game. But as you can see, that maybe that's a little too broad and it's not that interesting of a definition. So let's go a little deeper. Let's look to some legends of video game design. What did Sid Meier, creator of Civilization, Alpha Centauri, absolute legend of our industry, what does he say? His definition: a good game is a series of interesting decisions. Now that's slightly different because he's saying what is a good game. But I like this definition because it gets at the core of the experience of playing a game. You know, what makes it a game? What makes it something you want to do? It is really the interesting decisions that makes a game and makes it fun. But what if you want even more complicated, or what if you want to really hammer down what a game is? Then I really like the definition a friend and colleague of mine, Ralph Koster, used in his book, A Theory of Fun, which is an incredible book. You should definitely buy it and read it. Ralph Koster, Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies, Meta Places, and he's got a game coming out soon, a new MMO, and I think they have a Kickstarter soon, so you might want to poke around and look for that. But his definition: playing a game is the act of solving statistically varied challenge situations presented by an opponent who may or may not be algorithmic within a framework that is a defined systemic model. Now, I really like that definition because every single word packs a wallop. There's so much in each word. So let's break it down a little bit and you'll see it's not that complicated. There are really three primary sections of that complicated definition. So playing a game is the act of solving statistically varied challenge situations. Those 4 words are huge. So what's a challenge situation? Any situation where you're undergoing a challenge, you're solving a challenge, you're using skill, you're using decision-making power, you are making long versus short-term decisions on how to use resources. Challenge situation could be aiming a weapon, choosing what territory to attack, choosing when you want to go craft, choosing where you want to go gather resources. Any kind of decision making or skill check or anything like that is a challenge situation. And in a game, they're going to be varied, typically varied by some statistic that is behind the scenes: hit points, damage, quantity, weight, mass, speed. All kinds of statistics are going to be behind these things that affect your challenge situations. So the first thing in the game is you have challenge situations. You have difficulty, elements of difficulty, tasks, things you're going to do, presented by an opponent who may or may not be algorithmic. So you could play a game against a human, you could play a game against a computer run NPC, or you could play a game against a thing itself, a board, a puzzle. If you're doing a maze, the opponent is the maze, it's not another player. So this clever use of the term opponent can really include a lot of different things. So the challenge situation is presented against an opponent who may or may not be algorithmic. So that's who you are playing against. It could be an actual adversary, or it could just be a situation that is challenging and you need to defeat it. And then the last part, within a framework that is a defined systemic model. That defined systemic model could be a game world, it could be a game board, it could be a deck of cards, but whatever it is something that is defined and it has rules and structure that you are operating in. So those three pieces all come together. You have challenge situations, so the things you're going to do, the skills you're going to use, the choices you're going to make, against an opponent. Opponent could be a human, could be a computer NPC, it could be a board, could be a level, could be a puzzle. And it happens within a systemic model. A game world, a game board, a deck of cards, whatever. Those three things go together and they make up what is a game. So altogether, playing a game is the act of solving statistically varied challenge situations presented by an opponent who may or may not be algorithmic within a framework that is a defined systemic model. Now, hopefully when I read that the second time, it made more sense. But that's a game. So think about that. When you think about a video game, when you think about a card game, when you think about playing I Spy in the car, when you think about anything you do that's a game, does it fit any of these three definitions, or does it fit all three of these definitions? So that's it for now. Thanks very much.